Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining into our monthly webinar series for our agent partners. This is run every second Thursday at 9:30, and for many of my Gemini partners that are on this webinar, this could be a review from our Tuesday weekly webinars. But there is some more information that I'm going to share with you, so hopefully for those of you that joined in on Tuesday, it's not too much of a review because, again, there are some new details that are just came up last night. So questions are definitely encouraged. This is how we all learn and kind of stay ahead of the curve with all the changes in the health insurance industry. And monthly, I will be going over some changes that in legislation, not only on our Commonwealth level, but on a national level as well. So again, questions are encouraged, and there's a couple of ways you can ask those questions. You can click on your hand icon in the control panel to the right of your screen, or you can type in your question in the question box, and I'll answer that at the end of the webinar. So since I'm older and I struggle with technology, just with a show of hands, if you can see the screen, and hear me okay, that would be great. If you could just put up those hands, great. Thank you so much, appreciate it. All right, so let's get right into the agenda. A lot's happening. HHS submitted a draft rule that would eliminate the rebates between the pharmacy benefit managers and insurers. It would also encourage the drug companies to pass on or offer discounts directly to consumers, reducing the role of the middleman, and of course pass on those drug rebates directly to the consumers of the medication. And a couple carriers last year had made the change. I know specifically United Healthcare has done this, where they decided to pass on the drug rebates to their enrollees. Other carriers use the rebates for additional research or additional value adds. You know, from my perspective personally, I think this is probably a good move. Drugs are very expensive. We all know that. We pay more for medications in this country than most other countries. So anything that could eliminate this passing on of billions and millions of dollars, I think is going to be a positive. So keep watching on that. BlueCross Blue Shield Association submitted suggestions for an ACA stabilization. They also asked for about $2 billion in unpaid cost share reduction payments. So the suggestions for the stabilization include the possibility of subsidies being tied in part with age. Higher income earners can't pay more than 12% of their income. You know, those unsubsidized folks right now, it's deemed unaffordable if it's above 8%. So they're looking to bump that up. Resume CSR payments, the cost share reduction payments, as I mentioned, and then delaying the health insurance tax, and then, pardon me, increasing the outreach from 10 million to 160 million. Again, President Trump kind of pulled all those marketing funds for the marketplace and navigators. So the BlueCross Blue Shield Association feels that it would benefit them, obviously, to have more marketing of the programs. I'll leave it at that. Proposed easing of health insurance rules that may make it easier for insurance to be sold across state lines. This is just new. There's a 60-day comment period going on now. NAHU, their position, the National Association of Health Underwriters, feels that it's a race to the bottom for premium and coverage. Obviously, what's going to happen is if there is a cheap plan in Billings, Montana, and you know, it's maybe just minimum essential coverage, then it's going to be less expensive, and folks may gravitate towards that. But again, what are we giving up? And how likely is it that this selling across state lines is going to have any effect on premiums? I mean, that's still yet to be determined. Again, this was kind of bantied around at the beginning of the ACA law, so it'll be interesting to see you know, how this develops. Again, 60-day comment period, and that just started this week. Surprise medical bills are being tackled. This is something on our Commonwealth level that has been proposed with different legislation, and essentially the surprise medical bills, there are proposals on the table that would ban insurers from charging patients more after they unexpectedly see an out-of-network provider. Bill could be presented at the end of this month, so we'll keep watching for that. And then, of course, this just in, for those of you that have individual and family clients and or have looked at short-term medical insurance, you know, of course, we've had in Pennsylvania, we've had a lot of starts and stops with the 364-day plans. In Pennsylvania, we are limited to 89 days, but Representative Frank Pallone, a Democrat from New Jersey, he is on the House, let me see where I can find it. Excuse me, House Democrat. So he is on the Energy and Commerce. He's the chairman, Representative Frank Pallone, again, Democrat from New Jersey. He's requesting documents from 12 healthcare companies regarding reports of practices like denying coverage and deceiving consumers. He goes on to say that they're troubled that consumers who sign up for these plans are being misled about the nature of the coverage they're purchasing. And it says consumers are being denied coverage even for medical care that is rightfully covered under the terms of their contract through a process known as post-claims underwriting. So, you know, this is a big deal. IHC and National General are included in the 12 companies, and I did include the flyer in your handout. So if you want to print that out, please go ahead and do so. If you can't, then just shoot me an email and I'll forward it to you. But, you know, quite frankly, short-term medical, there are 5 gatekeeper questions. If the insured can't get through those gatekeeper questions, then they're not eligible for coverage. If they do, they're still subject to pre-existing. Some carriers are a 5-year look back and a 12-month look ahead for pre-ex. Some are a 3-month look back, 12-month look ahead. But what the real issue is how they determine pre-ex is when a claim comes in, they do post-underwriting claims review, and that's how they determine pre-ex. So the whole premise of why this was launched kind of doesn't hold much weight with me personally. It's baffling to me that it could be a real option for folks, and we've been met with all these roadblocks. So again, that'll be interesting. We'll keep watching that and see what happens. Some other information, Aetna AFA plans will now require individual medical questionnaires for groups of less than 24 enrollees, and that starts with 5/1 effective dates. And they feel that they can get to a better rate, a more attractive rate, as much as 10% lower by getting all of the medical information. So that is going to be required. Also, Kansas City Life is offering a 2019 production bonus 2, 4, or 6% of the premium based on the volume of your business. I did, I guess I removed that attachment. If you want some information on that bonus program, shoot me an email. But my suggestion to you is look at your groups and ask me for a simple $25,000 or $50,000 in employer-paid life and AD&D. It's very inexpensive, it's easy to sell, and it's a real value add for employees. So go ahead and ask me for those quotes. Bedford Springs, for many of you on this call, you have received by now your Bedford Springs invitation. That is May 15th to the 17th at Bedford Springs, an Omni Resort. And it's going to be our inaugural speaking series convention where we'll have Chris Ullman, who is the happy whistler, and he actually wrote a book called Finding Your Whistle. So we're really excited about offering that, and I personally am really excited to hear him speak. He's spoken for President Bush and has done many corporate events and won many contests and quite humorous. If you look at his site, he's quite humorous in his whistling training. So for those of you on the call that are going to Bedford Springs, and for me myself, I'm certainly looking forward to it. UPMC training, they just announced 2 new training sessions for their expansion territories. So April 2nd from 9 to 11, they will be holding a seminar at the DoubleTree downtown Penske Amphitheater on Penn Street in Reading. And then on Wednesday, April 3rd, from 9 to 11 at the West Shore Country Club Ballroom in Camp Hill. So those are the 2 meetings. The invitation is going out in the newsletter at 10 o'clock today. So if you have an interest, go ahead and register for that. They're going to go over a lot of their programs and the expansion, so you'll learn quite a bit about what their intentions are for Central PA and beyond. Highmark, they lowered their chip pricing. Obviously, it's not a brokered product, but I did think I would mention it to you. There was a blast yesterday and, quite frankly, last year about Highmark and Geisinger's joint clinical venture, but it did look like they wanted to send out some further clarification. So there is information in the newsletter about the clinical venture. It's really nothing more than that. It's not an acquisition in any way. It's really just looking at Northeastern folks and kind of combining forces to offer a good option for them. So many of you also have received the email from Elise this morning about the new Capital Blue Cross BORs. We started this last year prior to fourth quarter, tried to gather as many as we could during fourth quarter for the renewals, but we are picking up where we left off last year. If you received an email from Elise with the new BOR and a list of your Cap Blue Cross groups, please pay special attention to that. They've not given a deadline for cutting off compensation, but it is something that they are going to move forward with once they get through all of the BORs. Also, if you do have groups on that list that you absolutely know you sent a BOR, don't be alarmed because they are on an extreme backlog processing these. So the list that we received was from Capital. If you did send one of the new BORs in and that group is on the list, I can only apologize. We got the list, and if we have it more than once, I don't think it's going to hurt as with Capital. If they have it more than once, it won't hurt. So pay special attention to that email, please. CPHU, there's a CE course, April 23rd, so hold the date. It's from 9 to 11:30 at the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce, and it is $10 for members and $20 for non-members. And that's it. That brings us up to our open discussion. Our next Aries webinar is Thursday, April 11th at 9:30. So while you are formulating your questions, just know I'll be back here in a month. So let's see here, what is going on? So Rich is asking if he's recommending that we sell the short-term medical plans, or should we wait to see what happens with the investigation? Rich, I have no idea what is going to come from this. It is an investigation at this point. I don't think that anybody is pulling products at this point and saying we're not going to sell. So it's business as usual. Some of the language in that flyer, again, is concerning because this is the practice. And I'm not sure what else they want to do other than have 5 gatekeeper questions and maybe collect medical records. I mean, that's not going to serve anybody's purposes. So my recommendation is not that you stop selling short-term medical plans. It's just to be aware that this is going on and there could be an adverse decision. Typically what happens is any decision that they make is not going to affect anything currently on the books. So that's pretty much all I can say on that topic. Let's see, no other questions. So as always, my contact information is right here. You can reach me at 800-926-8875. I'm at extension 113 or debw@urlinsgroup.com. As always, I thank you so much for joining in to our monthly webinars. Keep the questions coming. You don't have to wait for April 11th to ask questions. Keep them coming. I'm happy to help in any way. or if you want me to do some research on something that is particularly interesting for you, regarding the health insurance industry, let me know. I'm happy to do that as well. I want these to be valuable for you and your time. So with that, I will say thank you again for joining in. I wish you all a great balance of the week and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.